All right. Here we go. Another edition of Talking Dodgers, brought to you by Rot Your Brain Media. This episode is sponsored by Command Creative Studios. Looking to jump into the podcast world and start making your own content? Command Creative Studios is your one-stop shop for professional podcasts. With a team of audio engineers, music composers, and graphic designers, Command Creative Studios can get your podcast sounding professional as well as looking professional. For more information, please visit commandcreativestudios.com. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Help us spread like a virus.
Like a virus.
Okay, here we go. We're going to be talking about your 2024 National League champions, Los Angeles Dodgers. Ooh, that feels good to finally be able to say after this season. Mike, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty pumped. I was a little bit on the edge of my seat tonight just because the Mets, I mean, they didn't go away. They had runners on in every inning.
Kept battling?
Kept battling. I have a lot of respect for that club. They didn't go away. They kept battling. They had no quitting them.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, it's amazing how much more respect we have for the Mets than we do the Padres, just because it's just a different organization class-wise. I mean, I can't so much blame the organization as I do exactly the players, but everyone in the Mets, they all seem like they're a great bunch of guys. They love baseball. They're there to compete. You can go from the top, from Lindor to Alonso. I mean, all those guys, they seem like they're good baseball players. They put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, they weren't good enough to beat the Dodgers. It's unfortunate.
I think the Dodgers
are
a better team. But so just to touch base on it, and we'll go back to the Padres for a second. So I kind of noticed game 4 and game 5 with the Padres, their mannerisms and their attitude looked like they already gave up and lost. When the Mets play, it seemed like it didn't matter what the score was. It didn't matter that they were down by 5. They're down by 6. They kept coming back. I think the whole team believed until the final out that they had a shot at winning this thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't always show.
That was neat to watch.
Yeah. It doesn't always show when you look at the box score or when you look at the final results, because you're right. There were games that the Dodgers just blew them out. Obviously there was games that the Mets, they blew out the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But we could look at it and go, these are the reasons why. Like, I mean, look at game 2, Landon Knack giving up the 5 runs in the second inning on the bullpen game. Look at game 5 with Flaherty, which we'll talk about that a little bit. Flaherty with hopefully it's just maybe he had the flu or something. Hopefully it's not dead arm.
Maybe had a little bit of virus.
Maybe a little bit of a virus. Nice. But they got 2 guys with the exception of Flaherty, but with the bullpen guys that they hit off of, those are the guys that you would expect that to happen. But when it was our big boys in there, the Dodgers kind of handled the Mets mostly. Overall, if we look at it on our side, it was extremely less stressful series playing the Mets than it was the Padres, because I feel like the Dodgers match up better against. I mean, it's more pound for pound against the Padres than it was against the Mets. The Dodgers are clearly the better team against the Mets, where it wasn't so clear against the Padres, looking up and down the lineup, plus the starting pitching, plus the bullpen. So. Also, the fact that the Dodger game, the Mets series was a best of 7 as opposed to a best of 5.
It seemed to be an easier series to me. Like, we would hang 5-6 runs with ease. We'd have runners in scoring position. Even the game you mentioned with game 2, where we lost, but we left like 9 runners on base. In the series before, I don't believe with the Padres, I felt like if we were down or if the Padres were just on point, it was a lot tougher for us to pull through on the game, and I felt a lot more pressure. This series, I was at ease, and I don't want to say it was easy.
Definitely wasn't easy.
But it just seemed like when we needed runs and hits, we got them. And it was every game. Yeah. But yeah, National League pennant, baby. Going back to the World Series against the Yankees.
And it'd be nice. It's nice to actually go back to a World Series that we'll be able to celebrate with, like, in the same room with like our friends and family and stuff, because 2020, that was kind of a bummer. I did watch the last game with Max in my garage. But other than that, like, this will be good to like get a big group together and kind of have some COVID year.
2020?
Yeah. It'd be good to get a big group together and actually have some watch parties and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think this year will be fun. A little tidbit. My father-in-law, he's out there. He's Paul. He's a diehard Yankee.
What's up, Paul?
He's a diehard Yankees fan. He's been.
Paul.
Well, another fun tidbit. You'll appreciate this. When we went and saw him last week, he gave my son some signed autographed Yogi Berra ball and a couple other Yankee memorabilia.
Nice.
But Paul, you're going down.
Paul. You're not speaking of Yankee fans. I've noticed that Max is not here today. Max is still celebrating the Yankees making it to the World Series.
But he's tearing up about his Jets.
But you know what? He's excited that the Yankees are going to be in the World Series, and we're excited that the Yankees will be facing against the Dodgers, which our next episode, which will be coming out next Friday, we'll be doing a big, huge preview, Dodgers versus Yankees. We'll look at who's going to be projected starting pitching, who's going to be healthy, hopefully who's coming back from injuries, what it's going to look like, how the Dodgers match up against the Yankees. It's going to be good to have Max in here rooting for the Yankees and us rooting for the Dodgers, and hopefully it doesn't get too heated, but it should get hopefully pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, pre-production and post-production, Max and I always have our one-off sports, analogies over different situations and stuff, and we can always get heated, but I will say to our listeners, you're going to want to tune into this because I think we'll be the only podcast in the country with a loyal, diehard Yankee fan, and us, Robbie and myself, as diehard, loyal Dodger fans. I think the content will be epic, and I really think you're going to want to listen to us throughout the series because Max will be bringing insights from the Yankees and his knowledge of following them all season.
Yeah.
It should be good. It'll be good. It'll be great content, and just I think you guys really enjoy Max's input on that. He's a passionate New Yorker.
Right. Yeah. He definitely is. All right, let's really quick, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Help us spread like a virus.
Like a virus.
Let's talk about Game 5 really quick before we get into the good game, which is Game 6. Game 5 did not have the outcome that I expected. I don't think you did either. Dodgers lost that game 6-12. Flaherty looked absolutely no good.
Rumor is he had a cold.
I'm hoping the rumor's a cold, and I'm really hoping that it's not the other rumor that he has dead arm, because that's going to be a huge, big problem.
Oh, you heard that too?
I did. So Flaherty went 3 innings, gave up 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 4 walks, and 1 homer. So this was the game that I thought that was the easiest road to clinch the National League Championship, because you had Flaherty, who's coming off of his Game 1 start.
Where he went 7 innings, right? Or 6?
7 innings. He looked absolutely dominant, giving up no earned runs. And we were basically going up against the Mets bullpen. They had their bullpen game, and the Mets bullpen's not as good as the Dodgers bullpen. So you anticipated that the Dodgers were going to light him up. The Dodgers did put up 6 runs, but guess what? 6 doesn't match up well against 12. Ohtani did go 2 for 4. Let's see, he had a walk and 2 Ks. Let's see, Betts had a homer, had a single, or had a solo homer. Paez had 2 homers. He had 4 RBIs, I believe. Where did that go? Paez had 4 RBIs. I mean, the Dodgers were still putting up runs. One thing that actually concerned me, which I was super shocked, Freeman started that game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because the Dodgers were already up 3-1 in the series. You're thinking that it's a good clinch series. It would have been nice to not put Freeman on the field, give Freeman not only that night off, but the rest of the week leading up to the World Series. And the worst case scenario, say that the Dodgers did lose the series, they lost that game, which they did. You still get 1 day off going back into Game 6. You reevaluate him. I don't think you would even start him Game 6. Give him as much time as possible to get a healthy ankle, because you need him for the World Series. Having him on first base, I think Muncy does just as good enough job defensively as Freeman does at first base. I actually think Muncy picks the ball better than Freeman does, but you want Freeman's bat in the lineup. And so giving him the most time to sit and rest would have been beneficial. I was just super shocked that he was playing that game. And even Roberts came out and said afterwards that obviously Freeman doesn't look 100%. Duh. He did put some solid wood on the ball. He had a line drive straight at Alonso. But at the same time, resting him is more beneficial. So that was the biggest shocker for me, was the fact that Freeman was in there. Everything else that happened in that game, with also the exception of Flaherty being terrible, was exactly what you thought the Dodgers were going to do. They weren't going to tax their bullpen. They knew they had a bullpen game coming in on Game 6, so they stayed with Honeywell. Honeywell pitched 4 2/3.
He did pretty good, I thought.
4 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs is not ideal. He did better than you probably thought he would do, but he didn't do good. Let's just say that.
Well, I think he gave up some of the runs in the later innings, right? Third or
later
fourth.
Innings, yeah.
For me, just a touch.
He did give up 2 runs, I believe, in the 4th. Yeah, he gave up 2 runs in the 4th, another run in the 6th. Yeah, but Roberts played the long game, and he was right. As much as we were frustrated and we wanted to see him actually pull Flaherty out earlier, pull Honeywell out earlier, especially when the Dodgers started actually tacking on some runs. The smart move was to have a healthy bullpen going into the 6th game, and obviously that paid off.
Yeah, to go back on the Freeman thing, I don't think Freeman should have played at all. I don't think it wasn't worth it, and God forbid if he got hurt worse. We were already up 3 games to 1 at that point. We just need to win 1 game, and we talked about it before. The lineup was still pretty good and productive with Freeman out of it. Not that you want to bench him, but I don't think it was hurting us with him resting.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, because Lux is also hurt right now. He's not as bad as Freeman, but they've been sitting out Lux a decent amount of times, not starting him. Also because of the lefty-lefty matchup, but with his hip injury, sitting him out along with Freeman, and then them having this whole week before Friday for the World Series, hopefully they could both be in healthier shape, because having Chris Taylor playing second base is not...
Yeah,
it's not working out offensively. He did have a couple hits this game, or in Game 6, which we'll talk about Game 6 in a second. But there's just that inconsistent unreliability. He's just not reliable to be playing.
He had an error in Game 5, I think.
Did
was that the one where he booted the ball, or was that tonight?
That was tonight. He booted the ball. Okay. That was a very tough play. He still should have made it. He was playing back. He didn't realize.
That's right.
That was a tough play, but I do believe he did get an error on it. We'll look at that in a second.
But it's tough having Taylor in the starting lineup.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the good game. Let's talk about the fun game. We got that game out of the way. All right. So Game 6, Dodgers win
in dominant fashion. Dominant
fashion, 5-10. Let's see. We had an ultimate bullpen matchup. Let's just start off with the shocking thing. I'm actually shocked they started Kopech. Kopech leads off the game, gives up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 1 K. He did not look.
He looked shaky.
He looked like he was too amped up. I mean, most of his fastballs were rising. He did throw one. He had a wild pitch that went over Smith's head, which that run ended up coming in on that Pete Alonso, like really soft hit.
Yeah.
I just looked like he was too amped up. Maybe he did too many Red Bulls before he went out there. But after that, things kind of settled in kind of the right direction. The Mets did pepper in a run here or there. Bonda gave up an earned run, but still struck out 2. Went 1 and 1/3. Brazier 1 and 1/3. He did give up an earned run as well, which I
don't think any of them looked exceptionally great. Through the first 4 innings.
Well, that's a credit to the Mets, though. The Mets are a really good baseball team, and then when the pitching did make a mistake, they got
out of it.
They battled on him, but the Brazier home run was a little shocking that he gave to Ventos. I can never say this guy's name.
I can't either.
Yeah. I mean, that was a slider that just had no movement at all, right down the middle. And he basically took it over the center field wall. That was really the only pitch that I was really super pissed off about, was that pitch right there, because it just didn't have the break. It was the right call to not give him a fastball, but it just didn't have the break that you were looking for.
Yeah, we went from a comfortable lead at that point to they were within striking distance.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever got. Yeah, they were in striking distance, but I don't think they ever got closer than 3 runs. I could be wrong. It's kind of a daze a little bit, but I think if it was a regular season game, we're not stressing at all, because having a 3-run lead is you feel pretty good about that. But it's the fact that you know that they could turn around any second, and because you're a bullpen game, that added the more stress to it. But Brazier didn't look great, but he did after that home run. He looked pretty good. Evan Phillips looked really shaky. Only went one inning. Gave up a hit, walked 2. He did not have his good stuff. Daniel Hudson, I thought, looked really good. He got squeezed on a call. Low strike ended up being a walk. That run ended up coming in to score, ended up coming to bite us in the butt. I credit the umpire for that RBI. And then Triton came in. Dude, Triton, 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, which was just like he was just trying to end the game in the 9th inning. But he led 4 Ks. He looked as dominant as a pitcher has ever looked, trying to just shut them down when he came in. He looked amazing. that run that comes in at the end, that's when the Dodgers had that 6-run lead, and 6-run lead. They're just like, hey, just throw strikes. Let's just get out of the game. Let's go and celebrate. But he looked amazing.
Were you concerned at all about the second inning where he gave up all the hits?
No, because the Dodgers already had a 6-run lead. If the Dodgers don't score more in the bottom of the 8th inning, yeah, I'm stressing out.
But they were barreling up. They were barreling up on his pitches.
No, they were not, dude. No, they were not. He still had another strikeout in that inning. Like one was a barrel to be like one of them was, and that was because he's just trying to get out of the game. That's just like you don't mess around anymore with a 6-run lead. You just basically just throw strikes and just get out of the game. Yeah, I thought he looked dominant. He looked great.
Okay.
Hitting Ohtani 2 for 4, RBI, Betts 1 for 4. Teoscar Hernandez came back to reality. This is the only 2 hits he had in the whole series was in this game, and he goes 2 for 4. He got a little cocky with the line drive that he hit the center field for a super long single that should have been a double at least, but he was trying like he hit a home run. Lucky MVP Edmonds hit him in with his double.
Yeah.
Edmonds 2 for 5. Muncy got on base a couple of times. Kike 1 for 4, had an RBI and a walk. Paez 0 for 5. Kiermaier, just defensive purposes. Will Smith, another game. Will Smith 1 for 3, 2-run homer. And then Chris Taylor 2 for 3. Hey, what else when you can't waste hits by Chris Taylor? But you pretty much got contributions from the top of the lineup all the way down. I think Paez is the only one that never reached base. Other than that, everybody was at least on base, threatening, making a hit, getting on base, walking, doing whatever they could do. It was a top-down performance for the offense, and that's why they scored 10 runs.
Yeah, it was a good dominant win. I don't really have much to say. I mean,
I'm just excited that they made it to the World Series, dude. Bottom line, World Series.
So we'll have a bullpen game in the World Series, right?
As of right now, yes. I don't know. Like I got to go look at my notes. One thing that's a little shocking. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna stick with this. If this has gotten you to the World Series, I think you're gonna stick with this formula. I know we'll do more of a preview thing on Thursday night.
I think there's a couple as easy of a series as this was. I still think we need to clean a few things up going into the World Series. I think there's just a few things we can tighten up as a team.
Do it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, the pitching.
Well, yeah. What do you got?
Well, I mean, just can't let the first guy of the inning get on base. That happened a lot. I think the Yankees would jump all over that.
Yeah, with Soto batting second. Yeah, that'd probably be a problem.
But just outside looking in, I think that the Yankees are going to be a tough matchup. I think they talked about it today. The whole world wants to see that matchup. But we'll dive into that on Thursday night or Friday morning when we release our preview of the Yankees-Dodgers World Series matchup. But right now, we're celebrating our NL Pennant. Stoked for Ohtani, Yamamoto, and the rest of the crew.
Yep.
Stoked for our fans and our followers. I want to be on the edge of my seat and antsy leading up to Game 1 to see how everything plays out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are going back to starting pitching, going back to the pitching alone. Like you asked the question about we're going to do a bullpen game. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to stick with that. That's going to be in the cards for sure. I know that Gonsolin was actually pretty close before we went into the playoffs.
True. You might be able to come back.
I think we might hear more about this later on because I think it's really going to really determine where Flaherty's at. Because Flaherty's really like the guy that you have the most concern about, especially after that last game. If he was battling a cold or a flu or whatever the case is, you can't if he does in fact have dead arm or there is something wrong with him, you can't pitch that guy in the World Series because there was no movement. There was nothing on those balls. They were basically getting rocked left and right. And as much as the Mets, how good the Mets are, the Yankees lineup is way better than the Mets, top down.
You start Walker Buehler Game 1?
I don't know who you start Game 1. I think they're probably going to go with Yamamoto, stick with that. But then your Game 2 starter would have been Flaherty. So the question is, where's Flaherty at? Is in where his arm's at. You know what I mean? If if Flaherty does have issues and Gonsolin is somewhat of an option, I could see them maybe because you can't just roll with 2 pitchers. I don't think you can just roll with.
No, they need three starting pitchers.
Yeah, at least 3 starting pitchers. But then also they might look at their bullpen and go, their bullpen might not match up as good as they did against the Mets. Maybe they do make a decision as far as if Gonsolin is an option. I haven't looked up at Gonsolin that much, and because we've been concentrating so much on the now, concentrating so much on like who is available in this series.
Yeah, we'll have a bunch of research and
but I think
matchups for the World Series leading up to a Thursday podcast.
I think if they have an option where they can at least get a pitcher in there that they think they can get 3 or 4 innings out of before going to their bullpen. I mean, look at this outing right now. If you're telling me that you could have brought in Gonsolin and Gonsolin would have given you 4 innings at least, and then you go to Bonda, Hudson, Trinan, Phillips, Kopech. I mean, there's 6 innings right there. And so that way you get 3 off of somebody that's reliable like Gonsolin. I think they would rather go that route as opposed to starting with the bullpen and having to put in pitchers that are not that reliable. But maybe you'll have Gratterall back, and then Gratterall is a good higher leverage pitcher as well. If he can actually come back and healthy, that's a guy you throw in there. That makes your bullpen even deeper. But I just hate bullpen games, even though we've won two games.
They're risky.
They're risky. They're high stressful. It just takes one guy to not be on for the dominoes to all of a sudden just fall, and then you're kind of screwed.
It puts a lot of pressure on every pitcher. And it
screws your matchups. And so,
I thought looked good today was, he kind of struggled a little bit, but he looked really comfortable on the mound. Was Casparius, or I don't know.
Casparius, yeah. I can never say his name
either. Let's call him Casper.
I was actually a little shocked.
He looked good.
I was shocked they took him out as early as they did.
Right,
I thought he was going to finish the inning. Yeah,
same. I thought he would have pitched another inning, but he looked really good tonight, and he looked good in his other outings he's had in this series, I thought.
Hey, it's another rookie that's going to need Tommy John surgery next year, so you might as well just use him as much as you can, because that's kind of the route the Dodgers are going right now.
So, interesting you bring that up. So, as you know, Robbie, my daughter plays softball. Her coach played in the major leagues as a pitcher, and I kind of asked him casually at practice the other day, and about, is Tommy John normal? Or are these pitching injuries a standard thing? Have you seen him before? Like, what were his thoughts? And he said it's inevitable when you throw that hard.
Oh, yeah.
When you throw that hard, it's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. It's when you throw that hard and have that much torque, it's inevitable to happen.
But that's,
anyways,
yeah,
I was kind of disappointed because I was like, leading up to it, in my head, I'm like, there's got to be a way for this not to be the norm. There's got to be another way to prevent all these injuries. And the only reason why I'm so passionate about it is we don't have four of our top guys going into the World Series. We don't have our Glass now. We don't have May. We don't have River Ryan. We don't have all these guys. And then now we're talking about Flaherty possibly having dead arm. But
that's the rumor. No one's actually come out and said it, but you can just see that he seemed very fatigued. But
hopefully he was just sick. It's just all I was leading to is the injuries that we've had leading up to the World Series. I wish we had a stronger team, I guess. Not that we're not strong, but
we had a stronger starting rotation.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. No, I wish we had those guys that are hurt. We could really use them against a lineup like the Yankees.
Yeah, the bullpen looks great. The offense looks great. It's really it's going to be the question. Is going to be the starting rotation. And what sucks is that I was feeling really good about the starting rotation after the outings that Buehler and Yamamoto had, and the outing that Flaherty had in Game 1. I was feeling very confident that these 3 could basically take it all the way. And then you have that Game 5 when Flaherty just did not look good at all. And we had talked about it throughout the season, at least towards the end, that Flaherty seemed like he was kind of falling off a little bit as far as his velocity and his production, really, as far as getting deep into games and stuff, and just kind of making it seem like it's always a battle and a struggle for him. But then he comes in and has that performance in Game 1, and you're like, oh, dude, never mind. He was just saving up, he just got it. And then you look at the performance he did in Game 5, and you're like, ooh, I don't know. So it's really, we don't really know what to expect from him right now. I think we'll obviously find out something in the next couple of days.
Robert said he was sick, so I'm going to I'm hoping he had a cold.
And it's possible. Yeah. And it's possible that's what it was. And he just took one for the team because he knew that they needed to pitch that game. So there was no other options. I mean, there was options. You could have went with Knack and just hopefully got a better performance. But I think it says
your odds are better with Flaherty over Knack, even if Flaherty's sick.
I think that also says like what confidence they have in Knack, that they think that Flaherty, when he's sick, is still a better pitcher than Knack right now. Yeah. And that's why you didn't see Knack in this game, even when the Dodgers had a 6-run lead going into the 9th inning, because last time they did a bullpen game that they did this well, even though it was a shutout, they put Knack in the last inning. This time they didn't even do it. They kept Triton in there with a 6-run lead to finish this game off, which was obviously the smart move. All right. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Help us spread like a virus.
Like a virus.
Let's talk about Mike's boy, number one guy, Tommy Edmonds. Tommy Edmonds gets the National League Championship Series MVP. This is a guy who got an MVP over Ohtani, right? Over the MV3, over Betts. Obviously, Freeman wasn't there that much throughout the series because of the hurt ankle. But this is a guy that the Dodgers picked up the trade deadline from St. Louis.
He was on IR when we got him, I think.
Yes.
Or IL.
Yeah, and he was still finishing up his rehab right when they got him. I don't think he even started playing until like 2 weeks into when they picked him up. And he's batting fourth for the first time, I think, in his career. Maybe I'm not too sure like the background on that. But
it sounded like in his interview tonight that it was the first time he'd batted cleanup in his career.
This is probably one of the best pickups the Dodgers have made in years. And then you look at we talked about this in previous episodes. The Dodgers, when they got the number one available starting pitcher in Jack Flaherty, the Dodgers went out and got the number one available bullpen pitcher in Kopech. I think it's safe to say now that Dodgers probably went out and got the number one available offensive player in Tommy Edman. Not only offense, but then defense. He was playing center field. He moves to shortstop with Rojas getting injured. Also opening the door up for Kike to play, so Kike could play more, which I argue Kike might have had a shot to get an MVP with some of the stuff that he did previous series, even though they don't give an MVP out for it. And then either way, I think it's exciting.
He played good in this series too.
He did play good in this series.
So did Muncy.
Muncy played decent. His last two games kind of fell off a little bit, but Muncy played great. Edmonds played great. Betts had a bounce back series. You look at their stats. I mean, we could look at it right now really quick. Let's just see.
I don't think. Well, so
hold on really fast. Betts batted 300. He's batting 300 right now, and this is just the postseason. Batting 300. Tommy Edmonds is batting 333 for the postseason. Kike Hernandez is batting 310. Max Muncy, Max Muncy's batting 358, but his OPS is 1.033. That's incredible for Max Muncy. I mean, Max Muncy's always been, I think, like an 8 guy, maybe a high 7, low 8s, but he's getting on base, making things happen. Like, this is just, it's just good stuff. It's really good stuff.
I think, well, I mean,
you know what? I gave you the wrong stats for that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, I think coming into
Tommy Edmonds batting 341 for the postseason.
So I don't think anybody saw going into the NLCS that Tommy Edmonds would be the MVP.
No, I don't think so. I think you would have picked like more of your. You would probably have picked Betts. The way that he ended the last series, you would have picked Ohtani. You would have. I mean, actually, I would have picked Teoscar. Yeah. I would have picked Teoscar because Teoscar in the last series, if they gave out an MVP for the last series, Teoscar would have gotten it.
For sure.
He was the most reliable throughout that series. So I would have picked Teoscar for this. Little did we know, he basically gave up all of his juice in the first series, but then he kind of found it at the end of this one. So hopefully he'll be able to bring that in the World Series. I'm just super excited, man. Dodgers in the World Series. Let's go.
Yeah, I think they'll. I think some of these guys, like Teoscar talked about today, he's been in the league 9 years, first year in the World Series. Tommy Edmonds, I don't think Tommy Edmonds ever been in the World Series. I think those guys are going to be hungry. I think they're going to be playing lights out.
Yeah.
It'll be fun series to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun. I also think that if Rojas is feeling better and Rojas is available, I still think they stick with Edmonds at shortstop and Kike in center, just to keep Kike's bat in the lineup.
Yeah, he's been hot all playoffs. He's been well.
Look, I love Rojas. I think Rojas plays a great defense. Maybe a little bit better than Edmonds, but what Edmonds brings as far as his bat, and the same thing with Kike brings with his bat and his clutch hitting, like having those two guys in the lineup to go along with Ohtani and Betts and Teoscar and Muncy and Freeman when he's back. I mean, dude, that's a deep lineup. And then hopefully we saw some signs with Will Smith. If Will Smith is actually turning it around.
Two-run shot today, right?
Yeah. And he hit that ball hard in center field too.
What do you think about with Edmund in the lineup, us doing a little bit more small ball? You know, so we button some guys over with Edmund in the series. You think there's something to be said with that?
I think they're gonna look at the matchups. They're gonna here's the problem with Edmonds though, because they did the whole bunt game and stuff the first game of the series, but Edmonds got really hot with his bat. Taking the bat out of his hands and having him bunt might not be the best thing to do because he just won the MVP because he's hitting the baseball. But your options, I mean, Chris Taylor he bunted over today.
Yeah.
He got lucky because luckily Alonso thinks he's a better first baseman than what he can actually do, and he threw the ball to second base.
Yeah, didn't get the out.
Didn't get the out. I think you'll see small ball from the players that are struggling, that have some speed, like Taylor. Depending if Lux struggles a little bit, they might have him actually do some bunting.
I hope he gets healthy and can play in the World Series. I would much rather have him in the lineup and in the field than Chris Taylor.
Yeah. They'll still probably switch him when they're doing lefty-righty matchups and stuff. You'll probably still see that happen. If there's a lefty pitching, someone will be playing second besides Lux.
Yeah. Well, hopefully today's game by Taylor, that'll leak into the World Series, him going 2 for 3. But leading up early on, I felt like his bat speed was slow. He couldn't keep up with the fastball. But he got a couple hits today.
I'm surprised John Smoltz loves saying this about Chris Taylor, that Chris Taylor only has one swing. Like, this guy's only got one swing. So it's full or nothing. This guy's only got one swing.
That's funny. I like Smoltz.
I didn't hear him say it this game, but he says it every other time. Oh, this guy's only got one swing.
That's funny.
Because Taylor didn't have a lot of swing and miss this game. That's probably why he didn't say it. But it was pretty good.
That's funny.
All right, man. This is going to be a shorter episode than normal. This one's more of a celebration episode than anything else.
We're back in the World Series. We're not going to bore anybody with super stats or anything like that. Besides, our stat guy's not here. He's too busy celebrating and also crying at the same time because the Jets lost, but the Yankees are in the World Series. Dodgers are coming for you, Yankee people.
But don't forget, we will have an in-depth episode that launches on Friday that's going to preview the series. We'll have obviously more information on who's healthy, who's available, what the matchups are going to look like.
Yeah, you'll want to, again, I mentioned earlier, you guys will definitely want to tune in to that podcast just because of Max's background and passion for the Yankees. He knows that team better than most.
It's going to be good. I'm actually
give something for him to talk about. I might be quiet throughout the series with Max going.
I'm actually thinking maybe we might invite a fourth onto that episode, another Yankee guy, just to make it 2-2.
I don't know any Yankee fans, do you?
I know a Yankee guy. He actually lives across the street from me. I might bring him in. Or Max has probably got one of his Yankee guys from hometown or something like that. We'll come on Discord.
Yeah, maybe we can pipe in a New Yorker.
Yeah, it's possible. But dude, it's a good day. It's a good series. Good series for the Dodgers. That's pretty much it. I got nothing else to say.
Dodgers won the pennant.
I'm gonna go home and celebrate. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Talking Dodgers, brought to you by Roger Brain Media. Hey, look. If you love what you're listening to, please click that like and subscribe button. Help us spread like a virus.
Like a virus.
Go check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/RotYourBrainMedia. All of your contributions can help us make content and helps us keep the lights on. Helps us buy a cup of coffee so we could stay awake late to bring these episodes to you. That's pretty much it. Go Dodgers. World Series champs, here we come. 2024 National League Championship. National League champions, Los Angeles Dodgers, winning the pennant. Here we go.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
See ya.